Namaste.
Namaste.
The sad truth is, we're not live online because Facebook is being temperamental, but I'll upload it when I get home. We're still recording. It keeps telling me to check my internet connection, and I have a fine internet connection. It's a beautiful internet connection.
Perfect.
It's the best interconnection ever. It's a
perfect.
perfect internet connection
That only I.
that only I, with my superior intelligence, could possibly have. In fact, many people have looked at my internet connection and remarked how perfectly wonderful it is.
Nobody nor the president used to be.
Right.
Wow. That's the way he would bill it.
Many people were present during my internet connection and remarked how perfect it was. It was beautiful. Anyway, so let me challenge a couple things that the readings say. You know, I've decided, I found my pillow.
Oh, sweet.
I've been looking
Where
for
was it?
weeks. It was under a banner that I had thrown up in there, so I finally decided to look under the banner.
Good.
To me, Eastern Orthodoxy, while it has its own foibles,
It's one of my favorite words.
foibles,
Yeah, foible.
I'll try to use it a lot.
We in 10th grade we had like ACT and SAT vocab, and that word was like one of my absolute favorites.
I'm happy to use it. Among its foibles are a lot of culturally conditioned things that are hard for us to get close to, such as not putting pews in the church. And then when you couple no pews with long services, well, okay. So it's not perfect, but it tends to be much more heart-centered than Western Christianity in any of its forms. And it tends to be much more experiential. Can we get to the other two?
No, here we go. Sorry.
That's okay. There's another tube over.
Oh, there's plenty in here. I was just waiting for it to the end. Anyway.
So it's much more experiential than up here in the head, which isn't to say at all that they're lacking in intellect or wonderful stuff. I used to order books all the time from St. Vladimir's Press, which is the Orthodox publishing house in this country. And if you ever want to read Orthodoxy for any reason, I recommend. I think he's passed away, but his name's Father John Meyendorf.
Meyendorf?
Yeah. Or maybe it was Meyendorf. Yeah, his name's Meyendorf. Meyendorff. But he's excellent. I mean, he makes it understandable and still gets to the depths. But the whole Jesus prayer thing comes out of the East, in the Eastern Orthodox Church. In fact, on Mount Athos, which is I believe a Greek island, there's the whole mountain, the whole island mountain island, is a monastery, and the monks live in. I think there's a central building, but there's hermitages on the mountain as well, and their whole spiritual practice is around the Jesus prayer, which there's 57 variations of it. One of them is on the front here, and it's probably one of the more basic ones. The Roman Catholics had to throw more words in, so it became Son of the Living God. At some point, somebody had to take a sinner after have mercy on me, a sinner. But that's one of the things I want to talk about, because I struggled with the word mercy for a long time. Probably because it was linked in prayers to notions like a sinner needed mercy. And really, mercy goes way beyond forgiveness. And we might, although we're probably oversimplifying it, but we might say that what mercy is asking for is favorable conditions. Not grand gestures of mercy, of forgiveness, in order to want them, we would have to be pretty miserable, terrible people. No, it's just think of Buddhist prayer, the name of which I don't remember at the moment, but where it's, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I live at ease. That's mercy, those things. And so praying for mercy isn't saying I'm a terrible person, it's saying, gee, I'd like nice surroundings. And most people who pray, although really strict Orthodox folks would disagree, but most people in my experience who pray the Jesus prayer shorten it quite a bit. It's probably it's definitely my favorite Christian mantra, but when I pray it, I just pray, Lord Jesus, mercy, and let it go. Because I get really wrapped up in, if it's too long, I just have to, I get into this place where I'm trying to remember all the words, and it's counterproductive. And so I would disagree with a little bit in this first reading on the second page, where the first reading continues, the first full paragraph where he says, remember, this prayer is not intended for rational analysis of content and words. Yes, that's true, but I think you still have to understand the words and not have them have negative baggage hanging out of them. Like where in my case, for a long time, mercy meant I'm a miserable worm. That will stop you from praying.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
To what extent could mercy be replaced with more compassion?
Yeah.
Because to me, like, what you're saying about your understanding of mercy being like that it's not as, miserable as
Right.
That it's more, so let's say, may I be safe, may I be well, and that's sort of thing, like when we show compassion to others, that's, wanting what's, may they be,
Right.
may they be, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's very similar. I mean, it's similar enough that I'd say it's almost the same. That's what you're asking for, is compassion.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're one of those people like me that sometimes likes to pick apart theology, are you really asking Jesus or are you asking Christ? Well, you're really asking Christ. So, but, in the original, they're both there. So I could just as easily pray, Lord Christ, mercy, but I don't, because that's not the way I did it. Now it's kind of ingrained. There's a parallel with this in Tibetan Buddhism. There was a rather popular, famous Tibetan Buddhist teacher named Lama Yeshe. Right? Yes, who passed some years ago. But in the 60s or in the 70s, maybe, he was one of the first Tibetans to really, more or less, master English. I mean, more or less. And he taught in English. And his sort of successor is Lama Zopa, who's now quite aged. But he did a video, kind of a movie, documentary of a pilgrimage he led back to Tibet. And they came across this cabin. Cabin may be overstating it. I don't think there was running water or anything. A hut. But yeah, a hut. And they said, oh, you got to go see this woman. She's really a holy woman. And they open the door and her head pops out. And of course, she's got missing most of her teeth. And but they asked her what her practice was, and she said she prayed the mantra of compassion, Om Mani Padme Hum, in Tibetan. And what was interesting is what she said to Lama Zopa was, after all, that's the heart of Buddhism, is that mantra. So if you pray that mantra, you pray it all. And he agreed with her, but it was kind of funny because this little simple woman in this hut kind of schooled him. Not that he disagreed.
Right.
In Christianity, I would say that Jesus' prayer is that same thing. It's the heart of it. Everything else, you do the heart of it, well, you don't really need the rest of it because it will come. The Hesychast, which is how I'm going to mispronounce it, controversy had to do, it's kind of like fundamentalists get upset with meditators because they claim that if you don't think anything or say anything, your mind is empty and the devil will rush in. Yeah, oh yeah. And but that's what the
I
Hesychast
do remember that now. Apparently,
controversy.
I blocked that out.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, I think we blocked
Now
it
that
out,
you mentioned it, it's like, oh yeah.
but it's contrary to your experience. Not, you know.
Well, even then, it was like,
I mean,
well,
really-
I'm just an airhead.
Well, yeah, what an unsatisfactory image that is. It's like saying our brain is a vacuum.
Or our brain is a drain that Satan's just coming with it. I can't think of what I'm trying to say.
No, it's like we can't, as if our mind had no barriers. So if nothing was there, and they used, you know, a scriptural justification, the passage about the woman who had had a demon in his house, and they drove the demon out, and he swept his house all up so it was nice and clean. And I think it's 7 worse demons moved in. And so they say, see, that's the point. His house was all clean and empty, and look, here came these demons. Well, you know, that's such a ridiculous interpretation of that. I don't think we
Oh yeah, you know what it's for. You can't be thinking for yourself.
Right. You need to think what we tell you to.
Yeah.
And they would say, it's also not okay to repeat these mantras because that's just vain repetition. And Jesus taught against that. But the kind of vain repetition he was talking about was this traditional Orthodox Jewish prayer of, you know, thank God I wasn't born a sinner or a woman. Which an Orthodox Jew repeated every morning. Now here they left the woman part out for some reason. I guess Luke knew who he was playing to. But, you know, women were tossed in with that list of people who, thank God, I had this auspicious birth where I wasn't one of them. Contrasted with and I know one of these readings said, wants to make it the guy on his way to Jericho. To me, this is the passage that is the root of the Jesus prayer, but there's roots of it. So the guy's sitting there just saying, God, show mercy to me, a sinner, or God, have mercy on me, a sinner. And Jesus clearly says that guy's justified. Not this guy who's saying, thank God I'm, you know, not a woman, or a tax collector, or other evildoers. But the Hesychast controversy, when it came up, you know, it's kind of in that same barrel where people got. There's a group of people who are usually called not Puritans, pietists.
Okay.
And you know, in some sections of Christianity, the pietistic movement was we have to get rid of images. Can't have any images. So the stained glass had to go, the statues had to go, it all had to go. And we had to sit in boring whitewashed churches because everything that was wrong with the religion was images. And then the Hesychasts came along and said, we have to get rid of silence because everything that's wrong is silence. And as we kind of know, living in the culture that we live in now, when your mind is always busy, it's not good. That's not helpful. That doesn't allow room for spirituality. It just...
Thank God for Adderall.
That's right. Well, yeah.
I'm not kidding.
No, I know. It's...
All the hell I got through high school, I have no idea.
If you wonder sometimes for any number of reasons. There's something about, you know, we lay educational foundations, not talking about grade school, but middle school and high school, when kids' hormones are most in flux, when they're most tired, so we make sure school starts as early as it possibly can in the day. It's just, and you could understand it before we understood scientifically, yeah, hormones. And had any medical knowledge, so we didn't understand why kids were always tired. Oh, they were just lazy. And if we just get them up earlier, they'll come around. You know, you just have a tired kid at school, and then we'll wonder why he can't learn. Yeah, it's... And that...
Back in When did your high school start?
I think it was 8:05. It wasn't 7.
No, I heard it was 8:28 or something. And why didn't you just go at 8:30? What's the 28?
Right, what's the 28?
Just like his, 7:58.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think they come up with a targeted ending time and then count backwards. And God forbid you have 2 extra minutes to kind of round things off. But there is in this Jesus prayer, the heart of Christian practice. You cannot say that meditation or mantra is not a part of the Christian tradition because it goes back to
it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's there all along. And people have tried to stomp it out. It seems like whenever somebody gets mad about something religious or spiritual, it always manifests as they're doing it wrong. And I used to see things that way too. And it's like, so I was looking at religious and spiritual podcasts on Stitcher, and most of them could be renamed, "Here's what they're doing wrong."
What's their website?
Stitcher is a podcast provider, host. You know,
Oh,
it's
okay.
like, there's like 3 of them, big ones. Pandora is a podcast.
Yeah.
But there's an app called Stitcher, and on there there's a bunch of podcasts hosted. And I looked at the religious and spiritual ones, and it's all, they all could be meaning why what you're doing isn't right.
Really?
Instead of, it's all bitching about the way something is. And maybe that's, they decided that the human mind goes much better towards negative things. But it's not at all helpful. So somebody over there is doing a practice that I don't particularly like, or I don't think it works for me.
What's wrong?
I'm just going to let it be. I'm not going to feel compelled to go over there and say, you shouldn't be doing it. Assuming practice isn't setting other people on fire, or, something really harmful. But,
Well, some methods that might be okay.
well, there's some people, you volunteer for,
Sacrifice.
yeah. Generally, I'm opposed to sacrifice, but in your case, I'm willing to make an exception.
Is that helpful?
And so this, I think this also speaks to those people who say this isn't part of the tradition. In fact, meditation and contemplation and mantra practice has been a part of the tradition throughout. At times, historically, we paid less attention to our detriment. But at the risk of sounding like one of those people who says you're not doing it right, maybe part of what we're seeing right now in terms of the institution institutional religion struggling, is a result of having not paid attention to practice.
Which does not mean just going to church or something.
Right, like filling up a spiritual gas station on Sunday.
I like that. Spiritual gas station.
I'm going to go get my fill.
That's a good one.
And then that'll carry me through the week, and then I don't have to worry about it. And not offering people some kind of practice. And in the case of mantra, it's not, if you struggle with silence, mantra is not just that emptiness. Even people with more active minds, like my beautiful, very intelligent.
And I know
Perfect.
you because I share the same.
What's that?
I said, and I know you because I share the same.
Right. Well, it's true. It's when I was first learning contemplative prayer, and they said just sit there and didn't give me a method. I was thinking about all kinds of shit.
There ain't no way to stop that monkey mind.
No, not if you don't have something to focus on. And mantra is one of those things we can focus on. And if it doesn't work, well, we put it aside and do something else. There's still the rest of the act.
I told you what mine is when I have too active of a mind, right?
Oh, well, you probably did, but I don't recall.
When I breathe in, it's Buddha in. because to me that's the connection of the heart and the mind and the inner spiritual growth. And Jesus out, because for me that's the heart in action,
Mhm.
you know, the things that he taught. And that generally shuts things down, and I would say maybe 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's getting shorter, but,
Well, and it'll never be instant. I
oh
mean,
no, that's impossible.
No. Yeah. We set.
Well, in my opinion, I don't know.
No, I would agree. I mean, if you can really shut everything off instantly, I'd have to wonder if something's not wrong.
Yeah, really.
Either you're not really shutting it off, or you're just convincing yourself, I'm popping off. Or something neurological is happening.
Yeah, it's like how, that's interesting.
And see, like for me, still, I mean, I've gotten better at times where I can just, if I've just got like the music
Yeah.
on, I can do it, but like oftentimes still I need that guided
Yeah.
because that gives me something specific
Mhm.
to focus on, and you know, when I notice my brain going elsewhere, I'm like, nope, like reel it back in, you know.
Yeah. And I want to be careful to say there's nothing wrong with it. I don't want to be like going, no, that's not.
But it's like, you know, to be perfectly honest, the way that I've been feeling just so much lately, the idea of just going off and living in a cave where there's nothing and no one, just for like a week, you know, because I couldn't do that for my entire life.
I suggest doing it in a cave by the ocean, because
That's
it's
right.
I mean, just the thought of
And room
being
service.
somewhere where it can just be, because I have very, I still, I like music, you know, I prefer like, but.
Sex Pistols, right?
Huh?
Sex Pistols, right?
But, you know, in general, I found
That's
that
the name.
in the midst of everything, especially like those days after like a Tuesday and Wednesday, by the time we get done with mass and I come back and my kids go to specials and I have that like half hour before this crazy woman comes in for my coaching session, rather than like try to cram stuff into that first half hour, I'll generally like just turn off all the lights in the room, put on like calming music, and just breathe. Because it's like
You know the importance of what would happen if you did.
because I struggle, I'm struggling to unload and kind of like decompress from all of this, because like it just seems like it's constant. And, you know, I'm thinking that maybe that blue screen of death was, you know, a sign that it gave me the opportunity to be able to take a picture of that, send that, and be like, this is my current situation. You're not getting lesson plans by 3. Which meant, you know, I could actively listen and participate. You know, earlier today I was like, I don't know if I'm going to go because I got to finish this. And then I was like, nope,
I need
I need
this.
this.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, very good.
Well, and that's,
I don't even know where I started with that, by the way. It just, that's the thing too. My monkey mind is like,
Well, you have so many things that you're working on.
but what you were talking about that resetting process, that's,
oh,
I
yeah,
mean, that's really good. That's part of any kind of meditative or contemplative process. If you're doing it, but you're not aware of how it's affecting you or impacting you, I think you're missing the boat. It's like you're going through the motions, but not being embodied about it. And we tend to do that with life because we're up here so much. It's like, what am I feeling? How am I doing? What do I need? What is most important now for my ongoing health and sanity? And oftentimes piling another thing on is not what it is.
I gotta tell you though, it's always like, I have to be prepared because sometimes I'm not always aware of the time. So like she'll come in and be all loud right away and be like, hello, and she's so loud. And she's like, I'm gonna turn on the lights.
Oh, wow. Great.
But,
Did
like,
you bring
there
the
are
brass
times-
band?
There are times when I'm like, there are times when I have been like just, chill, and I don't notice for a minute, and like it startles me, and then it completely undoes everything that I've been trying to like do.
But not really. It only
Yeah,
seems
it's
that
just
way.
Yeah, it's like it's very jarring.
Oh yeah. I mean, it drags you out of that, but there's still a benefit.
Oh, yeah.
of
Yeah,
having taken
definitely.
that time. Even though I understand what you're saying in that moment, it's why did I bother?
And there's another thing, and I'm just like, there's another great thing about my job, even though it drives me nuts sometimes, is that I have the freedom to just be like, all right, I need to check out. Okay. Just go in the back office, not Lucas's room, but the other one, and just lay out. Just breathe. Just, okay, get your hammer lit down.
Yeah.
Then I go back and shoot. No, what?
Right. Yeah. Oh, fuck.
You won't get hurt.
This peanut butter is going to make your hand heavy.
That was so funny.
It's like you know it's gonna happen.
She had to keep watching it though because
I was crying and just couldn't
Gerardo,
breathe,
isn't
and it was just like, this is just his face, like,
Yeah. Then you picture that guy as being Gerardo. But then what was real interesting was at the end of it, if you watch it till the end, he's still like
He's-
eating
yeah,
the peanut
he's
butter.
still doing that.
So he's upset, but he's not that upset.
he's probably more upset with himself, but duh.
Yeah.
Because you know exactly right in the beginning,
Yep. You know what's coming.
you
It's
know what's
still-
going on here.
And the appeal to the male ego, where it's like, I'm going to push your hand down and it's going to be
Oh,
heavy.
yeah.
And right there, it's like, no, I can't let that happen. And he forgets everything else. So anyway, should we pray about stuff?
sure.
You need to watch that one, and then the bottle of water with the penny under it. And remember the elderly couple?
Oh, yeah.
And she
Oh, yeah.
That was hilarious.
And she gets him to look.